To the Benchwarmers podcast. My name is Casey Coggins, as always, here with Alvin Hebert, who has the hiccups.
I do, but I will make it through.
And Andrew Lara.
What's up?
It looked like you wanted to say something else there.
I was going to clear my throat again.
So as we battle the hiccup fits, we got the Game 1 World Series on the television. First pitch home run from Dallas Keuchel to Chris Taylor. Dodgers up 1-0 in the hottest baseball game ever played. And so that's where we are going to start is a little prediction. And as we say that, line drive double play ending the third of Game 1.
That was pimp for real.
And so one of us, when we first did some playoff predictions a few weeks ago, had picked Dodgers to win it all, beating the Astros. So his pick is still alive as they are both playing each other.
Stay alive.
And
Mr. Nostradamus over here.
But me and
more like Balstradamus, dog.
me and Alvin both picked the Astros to make it from the AL. We just picked different NL teams, so I'm assuming that Andrew is going to stick with his Dodgers winning it all pick. Might as well.
Yeah, of course.
How many games you said?
I didn't.
We didn't talk games.
We didn't talk games. Okay.
No.
But I'll say 5.
5.
Dodgers in 5. All right. Well, before we started this, and before Alvin even got here tonight, I was talking to Andrew about how I kind of really want the Astros to win, but I want Clayton Kershaw to pitch really well because a lot of people like to put that stigma that he's not a playoff performer. So I'm like, I want Clayton Kershaw to pitch like 2 complete game shutouts in his 2 starts, and the Astros win the other games. That would be the perfect World Series to me. Is Astros 1-6, losing to Kershaw in complete game shutout. So
he could get rid of that stigma.
He gets rid of the stigma. The Dodgers lose. But I do think the Dodgers are going to win this series. The way that the Yankees played the Astros in the previous series and lined up with the pitching, I don't know if the Astros have the bullpen, and I don't think they have the starting pitching. Keuchel really isn't a great matchup for the Dodgers, so I'm in agreement that it's probably going to be, I'm going to say Dodgers in 6, because I think Houston in that stadium will put up some runs on whoever they throw out, whether it be somebody like Rich Hill or I'm spacing on the other starter that they had. Yu Darvish. And whoever they throw in games 3 or 4, I see the Astros taking at least 1 or 2 of those. But I'm going to go Dodgers in 6.
Well, since you guys are all Dodgers, I still say it's the Astros. I still think it's their year. Sports Illustrated.
Is this still a spike pick for your cousins in Cali?
Kind of. Yes, because I do hate the Dodgers, and when the Dodgers were winning, all on my Facebook feed was Dodgers this, Dodgers that. But I just felt like the Dodgers have it too easy so far, while the Astros actually faced actual competition.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that'll help them out.
That's happened previous years. Last year, that's how Cleveland was. Cleveland kind of breezed to the World Series, and the Cubs struggled against the Dodgers and the Giants. And they didn't start the series out well, but they ended it. Ooh.
Oh, no. Tied up.
Game.
Who was it?
Bregman. Who's going to be a key member for the Astros in this World Series. And that's what, going into this game, is Kershaw's.
That's off Kershaw?
Kershaw's pitched really well. And especially, in the postseason, he's pitched really well. He's just been susceptible to giving up home runs.
It's just when it comes down to around like the 5th or 6th innings, that's when all of a sudden I don't know.
Well,
he
it
tosses them up and he gets tagged.
the pregame tonight, they touched on a good piece is this postseason. Every game that he started, he's pitched with a pretty big lead, and so he's kind of been a little more reckless in the pitching, like just kind of throwing to just throw. And they put up a graphic saying that he's allowed at least 1 home run in 9 straight starts. So he is, like, even Chris Sale, like some of the best pitchers in the game, especially the way that today's game is played, like they're susceptible to giving up home runs. And if you miss your pitch, miss your location, that ball's going to be gone.
I just think it's a bad day for Kershaw because it's hot.
Yeah, the ball's going to fly.
Astros, I mean, of course they're playing Texas, Houston, so they're used to this hot weather. And I mean, who's to say if they are like Kershaw's sweating like a dog right now.
Kershaw's from Dallas, so he's
grew from up Dallas, but he's like lived in California for how many years? So he's used to that 70, 80 degree weather, California breeze. He's not used to that humidity.
Yeah, I mean Houston plays indoors too. It's not like every game that they play is outdoors in 100-degree heat in the summer.
But it's still humid in there.
Yeah, it is. And I've been in the juice box a few times, and it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not like playing in 101, 103 right now.
We'll see how this game goes. So, how many games do you have the Stros winning in, Alvin?
I'll say 7.
Going 7. So you have them winning a game 7 in LA.
Yeah, I think they'll eventually get.
Oh, he called that out.
Yeesh.
Whoa. No.
What did he say?
It looked like he was all if I was a tall person, but I was short.
Yeah, that was a ball. That ball was
way low.
That was a gift.
That's 6 Ks though.
Already?
That's 6, yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's given up 1 home run and 6 strikes. First pitch was up here.
If I was this tall, you wouldn't have called it, huh?
Yeah. But I do think the Astros will win a game in LA and then win a game to clinch it. So they will get 2 games in LA.
So they're gonna drop 1 at home.
Yeah, just because I'm not 100% on their pitching staff. So
yeah,
but when Astros are at home, they're a different animal when they're at home and on the road in the playoffs right now.
They haven't lost a home game yet. I think it'll be a really good series, and it kind of depends on a couple pieces, and it's mostly on the Astros side. Whether or not the guy is not named Carlos Correa.
Ooh. That rainbow?
That Uncle Charlie.
7 Ks.
7 Ks through 3 2/3 inning. And like I was saying, the Astros are going to be the key pieces here is can you get quality starts out of Charlie Morton and Lance McCullers? Because you Keuchel should be able to bring something to the table. And Verlander, you know what he's going to do. And then it's the guys not named Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve. Like, those guys have carried them in the playoffs so far. Josh Reddick got his first hit of the postseason in Game 7 against the Yankees. Can he get something going? Can Alex Bregman, who just hit that home run, can he continue this through the rest of the series? Gurriel, is he going to be a spark plug? So they have it's really, I think, all on the Astros, and if they play well, they can definitely take it to a Game 7 and steal games, because these are the 2 best teams in baseball throughout the entire season. The Indians might have finished with the best record in baseball. They might have had the second best record in baseball, but they were a second half team. That's when they kind of turned it on with the 22-game win streak. The Astros, not when they weren't super injured, because they had some significant injuries towards the later end of the season, but overall they've been one of the best teams in baseball throughout the entire season.
Especially after getting Verlander on that last
and that completely
last couple
changes
seconds.
it. So, can their bullpen hold up? Can their third and fourth starters hold up? And can the guys, the role-playing guys, the lesser-known players step up and contribute? And so far, so good for the Astros, minus the fact that they have struck out 8 times in 12 outs. So we'll see how it plays out. So we got
Should be a good series.
we got what, Dodgers 5, Dodgers 6, Astros 7, and I do hope it goes 7 because the more playoff baseball, the better.
Yeah, it's been a real epic October for baseball, at least.
Yeah,
But the Yankees helped out a lot.
I can't believe the Yankees did that in both the Indians and the Astros series.
I mean, the NL is just like a breeze, really, but the whole the whole Yankees series, both of them was just like all down to the wire, just full of excitement and hype. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean there was the one series in the NL, the Nats Cubs series, which I can't really say was great baseball. It was good pitching, I guess. It was ugly to watch for the most part. But from the World Series we just kind of slowly go downhill as far as impact in the sports world at the moment. Going to talk about some NBA, some professional hoops, because there are storylines aplenty in the NBA this season, and going forward there will be, there will always be plenty to talk about. But I just want to quickly touch on Golden State and them starting out 2-2, and Steph Curry, who, I don't know if y'all saw that play that he thought he got fouled by Mike Conley, which caused him to throw his mouthpiece at the ref.
Yeah, I saw that replays plenty of time.
Every time I looked at the replay, I can't tell if and it's all the one angle, it's the baseline angle, and I can't tell if he hits the ball or he gets some arm, but it doesn't look like it's not a big enough foul.
That's something to throw your mouth guard over.
Yeah, to gripe about. You're getting beat. Like, I've said it before in a previous podcast talking about the Warriors, that they're huge front runners. Like when they're up by 20, they're throwing off the glass self alley-oops and dunking on people. They're
Mr. Bell.
They're turning around and shimmying to the bench. They're everything's going fine. Like Skip Bayless used to always say LeBron and Tiger Woods are the greatest front runners in sports history, that when they have a lead everything's going good, but when they're down they can't handle their lives. And that's the Warriors. The Warriors cannot handle themselves when they are losing. But they can come back when they're down very easily and very quickly. But when they are like really getting beat physically, Draymond Green starts throwing his feet around. Curry throws his saliva around. Kevin Durant acts tough. And Zaza thinks that he's the big bad wolf. And so it's the only guy you really don't see a lot of animation from on that team is Clay, because I think Clay's just ready to go home and kick back and relax.
He's just so mellow.
Yeah.
He doesn't know if he's Clay or fake Clay.
Who is it?
So with the Warriors, like, I think Steph should have been fined, because it's not the first time he's done this.
I thought he was fined.
He should have been suspended. He was just fined, and it was $50,000 for a guy who just signed a $200 million contract.
Look, none of the fines are going to hurt any of those guys' wallets.
I don't know if this was an actual, like, a true stat, but, like, the joke was, like, he got fined for a quarter, like just playing one quarter of his paycheck, like a quarter of a game.
Like it means something.
Yeah, so
these guys' salaries are going up, but fines aren't.
Yeah, and we, I saw a really good tweet from, I think it was Seth Davis, who talks college hoops, saying that we teach kids growing up that you respect the refs, and you, like, if you yell at them, you, like, throw something at them, you get ejected. Like, that is strictly prohibited. You cannot act up towards the refs like that. And
well,
if it was,
he did get ejected though.
He got ejected and he got fined, but he's done this before. It's like Draymond Green. If Draymond Green was to do that, he would have been suspended 3 games. If
So what we're saying is ejections should be followed with the suspension, at least a game.
I think when it comes to refs,
isn't that how soccer goes too?
That's how soccer goes.
Yeah. When they get a red card in a game, they can't play the next.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily saying that it should be like that completely, but in an instance when you're obviously upset towards a ref, you take your mouthpiece out of your mouth and you throw it in his direction. That, like, if you don't do more than just a fine, what makes him not do it again? What's going to stop? Like, that's
what's going to send a message?
This is what I've brought up in our Zeke suspension talk is you have to create the precedent. Like, you have to set precedents. You have to say, this is not going to fly with us. If you do this again, it's going to get worse. Like, when you get caught with drugs in your system in football, you miss a game, you miss 4 games, you miss a season, and then you're out of the league. And so it escalates every single time.
Well, I do like the idea of implementing that soccer rule. If you do get ejected for altercation, whatever altercation with a player, ref, or whatever, I do like that they do miss the next game.
Yeah, and that's how they set it up, is when you come off the bench, you were suspended, like, immediately.
Yeah, but I feel like they should implement a rule like that. He definitely should have got suspended for a game.
I understand
definitely.
Heat of the moment, because when I played basketball growing up in any sport, like, I was a terrible loser. I was a sore sport. I would yell, I would cuss, I would throw things. I shoved one kid down during the good game handshake after a game because I was mad that we lost. I was,
prison rules, bitch.
Billy. I understand heat of the moment. You get pissed off that you're losing to a team that, like, the Golden State Warriors should technically go 82-0 on paper, and you're losing to a team that might actually be able to play you in the first round of the playoffs and kind of match up with you better than they ever have, and they've played you tough in the past.
Yeah, I told you it's the Grizzlies, man.
So the Warriors, I get, like, heat of the moment, you get frustrated, but you're also, like, you should be held to a standard of a professional basketball player. And so if you fly off at the handle and do something stupid like that, like, if I'll use the Spurs game from last night when Ibaka and Aldridge got into it again, and Aldridge shoved Ibaka. I was really surprised that Aldridge didn't get thrown out of the game for that, just because it was kind of talk, and then all of a sudden he
escalated the situation.
He shoves him. So I was a little surprised he didn't get kicked out, because if I was a ref, I think I would have kicked Aldridge out for that. Just because you can't. The NBA has had issues with fighting on the courts in the past.
Well, I think there's double standards when it comes to situations like this. Because when you look at Steph and then you compare him to Draymond Green and everything like that.
Exactly.
Like, of course they're just going to throw automatic suspension for Draymond just because the type of player he is and the personality that he is.
Yeah.
But Steph Curry,
or if it was a player of, like, less notoriety.
Yeah.
Like, if it was somebody on the Atlanta Hawks that did that, they'd be like, okay, well, we can suspend him again because that's not going to hurt.
If it was Mario Chalmers.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything for
him. Who I just found out is still in the league.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, playing for Memphis. He was with them, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then he like tore his ACL or broke his leg or something, and towards the end of the season, and he missed all of last season to get healthy, and Memphis brought him back.
Man, you learn something new every day.
So that's it.
Yeah.
I saw the whole thing when he got pushed down by Harden. Hold on.
Yeah.
Man, Chalmers is in the league? Forget the fact that Harden just pushed him to the ground. He's still here?
You're still in the NBA.
He's done a really good job hiding from LeBron yelling at him. But that was just what I wanted to talk about the Warriors in the sense that I think Steph Curry got a pass just because he's the baby-faced assassin, and
it's the double standards.
He's the clean kid on the block, and
Seth Curry would have got suspended for that.
Yeah. He would have got kicked out of the league. We don't need another Curry. We already have one.
Too much Curry hurt my stomach. We just need one.
We like the red Curry. We don't like the yellow Curry. So let's get into some other notable players. In this instance, doing amazing things, not doing despicable throw my dirty ass mouthpiece at a ref thing. The Greek Freak is on a rampage.
The Greek God.
Yeah,
himself.
I think that's what his nickname will be at the end of the season if he keeps this up.
Nah, it doesn't rhyme.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to rhyme. The Red Rocket doesn't rhyme.
He's on Mount Olympus with Zeus and all the gods.
Goddamn.
All right.
The only one that he's not with is Poseidon because his shot is not wet at all.
Drip.
He still needs to work on that jump shot, but when you can get into the paint like he can and rebound like he can and take one dribble from half court and dunk from the free throw line in the middle of a game on a fast break in between three players, you're going to put up points. It doesn't matter if you can shoot the ball or not. That's kind of what LeBron's knock has been his entire career, is he's not a great shooter. But he's been so physically dominant because of how quick he is, how strong he is, how big he is, all of those other aspects that it's like, yeah, LeBron's going to score 30 on you and he won't make a shot outside of the paint. And that's how Giannis can be. I pulled up the stats. The dude in the first 4 games is averaging 36.8 points, 10.8 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 2.3 steals, 1 block, and has a player efficiency rating of 40.4.
And shooting 65% from the field.
As long as it's not a 3, because
as long as not
once he sees that line, he just no.
But like
he's a habitual line stepper.
Russell Westbrook last year averaged a triple-double, and if Giannis averages this the rest of the season and plays like this the rest of the season, I think this year would be a better statistical year than Russ last year averaging a triple-double.
But he has to put up these kind of numbers, though. I do like the Bucks. They have solid pieces around him, but they don't have that second guy that could be a dominant scorer also, that could lighten the load.
Their second guy is Jabari Parker, and I don't think he's back yet
He's
from
not
injury.
back yet.
Chris Middleton, I think, has lost confidence because he doesn't look like the same player he was 3 years ago when he was a 42% three-point shooter or something like that. Malcolm Brogdon is a good ball handler to go alongside Giannis. So yeah, like you said, really good pieces to go around him. They're still missing that one guy to kind of alleviate some of the pressure. And really, all I think that he really needs is you can play him in the LeBron mold. Like LeBron doesn't really need that second superstar, but you need somebody who can alleviate pressure.
You need somebody that could put up those 20-plus points for you, though, when you have a bad night.
Yeah. So he doesn't need somebody like a he doesn't need like a Kevin Durant or Steph Curry type second player.
No.
But he does need like a John Wall, Damian Lillard
Eric
type.
Bledsoe, maybe?
What? Who said that?
God, is that you?
It's like he knew where I was transitioning. Because going from the Greek freak, I wanted to talk about Eric Bledsoe because the dude is extremely talented. But he's been stuck in Phoenix for 4 years now, and he was part of this weird roster thing that they were trying.
The all-guard roster?
Yeah. They got Isaiah Thomas from Sacramento, they got Goran Dragic, they had Eric Bledsoe, and they had another guard too. They had 4 point guards. It's like, what are you trying to do? What is the point here? Like
Light years ahead.
Oh, I think it was Brandon Knight.
Yeah. Brandon Knight. It's like, and it's more like light years behind different galaxies. So he had his tweet saying he doesn't want to be here.
Which he then also said he was talking about a hair salon.
He was talking about being at a barbershop. But if I'm Eric Bledsoe, and I'm like, man, you know what? I once played for the Clippers, and they don't have Chris Paul anymore, and they still have Blake and DeAndre, guys I played with. Like, why can't I be back there? Why can't I be on a good team? I've cut my teeth in the league. Like,
yo, he decided to sign with the Suns, though.
Yeah, he
wanted to go be the man. He wanted.
But then the Suns go and draft Devin Booker. Like, if you're going to tell a guy like, oh, we want to sign you because you can't just say, here's a big contract, we're going to draft Devin Booker. It's going to what I've talked about with LaMarcus. You have to tell these guys, like, this is going to be your role in order to get them to sign. So they had to have told him, this is going to be your role. We want you to do this.
Well, did they think Devin Booker would be this kind of a caliber of player?
I mean, I thought he would be Bradley Beal type. You don't want him your best player. If he's your best player, you're going to be the worst team in the league.
Yeah, but that's what he is, though. He is their best player.
Watching him in Kentucky, the guy is a tremendous shooter. He's sneaky athletic, and he can learn how to be better defensively. Because when he entered the league, he was the youngest player in the league. He I think is only 21 now. So, like, he still has so much room to grow. But I think Eric Bledsoe is looking at the roster, and it's Marquise Chris and Dragon Bender, who has, I think, like, the best name in basketball. And Devin Booker, and it's just a bunch of young guys. You have Tyson.
There's a bunch of young guys from Kentucky.
And you have Tyson Chandler. Well, Marquise Chris was from Washington.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying this is a whole lot of Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, and then they have, I think they still have P.J. Tucker. And they have some veterans there.
No, P.J. Tucker is on...
No, they
Rockets.
have T.J. Warren.
Yeah.
That's who they got rid of P.J. Tucker to open up a spot for T.J. Warren. And it just seems like Bledsoe is just not... He doesn't really fit, and they're not going to be good. And if I was in Eric Bledsoe's shoes, who at one point I thought he was... This is before the Russell Westbrook boom. I thought pound for pound he might be the most athletic player in the NBA.
He was the one when he was with the Clippers. He was nearly getting those triple doubles every night.
He's can do a lot of things on the court, and that's why, like, hey, Milwaukee, yeah, you have some good pieces. Maybe throw Greg Monroe down to Phoenix because they don't need any more guards. They don't need any more wings. Like, they need.
But they're asking for prime young talent, though.
But
nobody's not willing to give them up for Bledsoe.
I would, as much as I like Malcolm Brogdon, if getting Eric Bledsoe meant Malcolm Brogdon and Greg Monroe being traded down there with a pick for Eric Bledsoe, I think Eric Bledsoe's a piece that's worth it to me. But I think you would also kind of need to get somebody else there. Because Malcolm Brogdon...
I would at least ask for Lynn on that if you're going to throw in Greg Monroe.
It would be tough, but finding Giannis, somebody to tag team and go alongside with him, and really I think they need more shooting in Milwaukee. They need somebody like Kyrie and Damian who can break down a defense with their quickness and their handle,
or spread the floor because
but they're also they have range out to 30 feet. You've kind of needed that second piece to be that point guard who can knock down shots, and when you don't have that piece, you kind of are in this state of purgatory. And if
I'm using big words.
Right, I was like, that's a fucking $10 word right there.
if a team like Memphis ends up getting hurt a bunch, like Marc Gasol goes down again, and they don't look the same, like.
Or Mike Conley if he goes down.
Well, I'm saying, like, if Mike Conley is the only healthy piece and Memphis isn't going to make the playoffs again, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm unloading whatever I can to get Mike Conley to pair alongside Giannis. Because I think that would be a deadly combination.
I'll throw in Jabari Parker in a trade.
Yeah. So, Eric Bledsoe wants out. Phoenix, just do the NBA a solid. Trade him. Get him to a team that needs him, that could use him.
Don't be greedy. It sounds like they're being greedy right now.
Trade him to Atlanta. Or trade him to Orlando. trade him somewhere. Trade him to New York. Pair him alongside Kristaps.
Well, they want the number one ace pick from New York. But New York don't want to give him up.
Yeah, I mean this upcoming draft is supposed to be like just as deep as this last one was, and so Eric Bledsoe, we hope the best for you. Not necessarily the Suns, because you need to get a new owner.
New coach.
They already got that. They're already taking.
They're working on that one.
But Robert Sarver is the second. Probably the second worst owner in basketball in the NBA.
Behind
James Dolan, the Knicks owner.
James Dolan takes the cake.
Probably the worst owner in sports.
Oh damn!
He's more worried about his band getting notoriety than the Knicks being good.
It's a blues band, right?
Yeah, JD and the Moonshots, or the Straight Shots. JD and the Straight Shots.
And you're giving them what they want.
Yeah, got to give the people what they want. Now we can talk about our hometown team, the Spurs, and them starting the season out 3-0. DeJounte Murray looking like a future all-star point guard. A lanky 6'5" guy who is fearless to get rebounds. Can't shoot a lick, but God bless you, Chip England, taking on that project. Doing this without Kawhi. Danny Green is third in the league in blocks per game through the first week. LaMarcus Aldridge is a man on a mission. He is showing an aggressive side to him that he hasn't shown in his entire career, pretty much. He's been so passive and so nonchalant about things because he's been such a good player, but he's never really needed to prove anything, it seems. And so now he's like, I need to show people what I can do still.
That I'm worth this extension that I got.
Manu Ginobili's played well in his 400th year in the league. And they're still watching all three games. There's still areas that the Spurs need to improve on because Patty Mills doesn't look right.
Danny Green's shooting hasn't looked right.
He's shooting 42%, something
Not
like
enough.
that. I'm sorry that he's averaging 15 points through the first 3 games and
need more.
2 blocks and.
Well, you also got Kyle Anderson averaging 8.7 rebounds.
Yeah, his shot hasn't looked as good as it had previously, but I think that might just be because he's having to shoot the ball more than he has before. So he looks like he's taken a step forward in his role with the Spurs.
And Rudy Gay looks good in the system
Rudy
too.
Gay, yeah.
Yes, he does.
He looks comfortable. He looks healthy. Watching some of the plays yesterday, I was like, this is a guy who is going to be able to do things that. Like he's like Captain Jack. He's like Steven Jackson for us. Steven Jackson was able to go post up smaller players. He was able to guard bigger players. We put him on Kevin Durant, and we can put Rudy Gay on Kevin Durant. We don't want to. We can. And Rudy Gay looks like he's going to be one of the most impactful signings of the offseason. So it looks like once the Spurs get right, once they get healthy, I mean they're going to be able to contend with the Warriors, I think.
One thing also, it gives you guys could play small ball more versatile now.
Yeah.
I won't even call it small ball because you got
that's
Murray at like 6'5", and then you got Kyle Anderson that's like 6+, and then your tallest guy is just gonna be like LaMarcus Aldridge at 6'11".
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
all you guys are like 6+ on the smaller ball.
When we did our little Spurs preview, that the Spurs are one of the few teams in the league that can play whatever style of basketball is needed to win. So when you go down to the death lineup of the Warriors, when Draymond is their center, you can have LaMarcus in there with Gay, Kawhi, Danny, and Kyle Anderson, or DeJounte,
or even that other guy,
Brandon Paul.
No, he has like a Frenchy name.
Joffrey Laverne.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so he could be the center because he's pretty athletic. When we went to the home opener and warm-ups, he's throwing down windmill dunks and double clutch dunks, and then he can step out and shoot threes, and he's a great passer. So the Spurs, I think, once Kawhi gets back and he gets into the swing of things, it's going to be really interesting to see how him and LaMarcus team up, because that's really the one thing that I could see holding the Spurs back this season, is that Kawhi takes back over that dominant role, and that usage rating is so high. Like we need to pull
in his shell.
Yeah, we need to pull Kawhi back a little bit, I think. Pull the usage rating back and let him pick his spots on offense.
Well, we are talking about the Popovich Spurs, so I'm pretty sure they already have something in place for when Kawhi comes back.
So we'll see, and I haven't seen anything about an update on his injury. He just seems to be out for the foreseeable future.
We're saving him for the playoffs.
I wouldn't rush him back.
LeBron James.
The Spurs are good enough without him to win games. They beat Toronto, who's a really good team, without him, and so we'll see how it goes going forward. It's the first week of the NBA season is down in the books, and if the season's ended right now, I believe Memphis would be the number 1 seed in the West, and Golden State would be the 8 seed.
2-2.
Yeah. So, but let's get into our weekly hot not lock, where we have picked a player or team or whatever it might be, and I'll start continuing on the conversation we were just having. My hot of the week was LaMarcus Aldridge. I pulled up numbers just to make sure that I wasn't going crazy in what I actually saw. But right now he has slightly better numbers than Kevin Durant does through the first week of the season. He has 24.3 points a game, 9.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 1.7 blocks, and a player efficiency rating of 26.1. In watching him, he is looking aggressive. He's looking comfortable. He looks like a man on a mission. He looks like he's ready to help propel the Spurs past the Warriors. And again, it's just the first week. It might be an overreaction right now. But if he continues to play like this, he can be a huge catalyst going forward for the Spurs because of how talented he is. So that's who I have as the hot. Alvin, who is your hot of the week?
All right, well, just a couple honorable mentions as hots. Patrick Beverly literally became my favorite NBA player when he punked the shit at Alonzo Ball first game. And then the Cowboys, I said they was going to show out against the Niners. And people want to be like, well, it's the Niners. But if you look at the Niners games, they were in all their games except for this one where they got fucking ram shot. But my real hot is the Greek Freak. I mean, I said he was my front runner for MVP at the start of the season. 36 points, 65 field goal, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block a game. So that's my hot. I just hope they do land Eric Bledsoe for him. So I bet if they do get Bledsoe in Milwaukee,
they could be a 3 seed there.
I'll probably just do Jabari Parker, Chris Middleton, maybe Greg Monroe for Bledsoe and Lynn. I'll do a trade like that and then Greek Freak will have nice help with Bledsoe putting up 20 plus points.
Yeah, and pairing Lynn to go along with John Henson
and Baker.
Thon Maker. So I think Bledsoe would help them out tremendously. And way to go with the obvious pick of the Greek Freak.
Right.
Gotta write it, man.
You gotta give.
He's a Greek god now. He's on Mount Olympus.
You gonna make a statue of him too, or what?
Chiseled out of, I don't know, granite.
Straw. He's the least muscular Greek god in all of mythology.
But the best.
Minus young Hercules from the cartoon movie. You remember before he got all his powers.
Oh no! What's the guy? Achilles, and then his weakness is his Achilles. Like, what the fuck is that?
You know that's where it came from, right?
Huh?
You know where that's where it came from, right?
His weakness was his heel.
His heel.
I know, which is
that's why they named it the Achilles.
Just fucking flick his heel, and then all of a sudden he's like, I can't do it. I'm dead.
They didn't flick his heel. They
shot an arrow through it. Because that's where the goddess dipped him in the pool. She held him by his heel.
I know he didn't get fully baptized.
Why didn't she just do it by his pinky toe? I mean, who knows why people do things?
And then all of a sudden the arrow just magically lands on the pinky toe, and he's like,
That's all it takes, man. And it takes you out somehow.
You're dead.
Yeah. Just cut my leg off. Nah, you're just done, son.
In finishing the hot of the week, Andrew, who you got?
My hot pick is DJ DeJounte Murray. Call it a homer pick, call it what you want, but I call it how I see it. And this kid's a leader. Coming from his presence on the court to off the court, he's in the huddle talking to Pop. He's being more vocal. He's showing signs of a true leader. And I mean, just him even after his the whole Aldridge and Ibaka incident, we'll call it that. It wasn't a fight. The whole Aldridge Ibaka incident.
It's that high school shit pushing back.
He took charge and he pushed Pop aside and said, no, you know what, Pop? I got this. I mean, that takes balls to do, and kids got them.
I know. Don't you ever fucking put your hands on Pop again.
Right?
He's an old...
most wanted man in San Antonio.
He's an old man. We can't have him throwing his back out or something because you shove him out of the
he
way.
just shoves him out of the way and he falls down. It's like... everybody just looks at him with that like.
RC would trade DeJounte the next day. He wouldn't even make it out of the game before he got traded.
All of a sudden, the trade is accepted in midway of the game.
Yeah, it's gonna show up on the jumbotron. DeJounte Murray has now been traded.
He's gonna get more death threats than Zaza last season.
What is it? to Barcelona's basketball team. Like, he's not even gonna get traded in the NBA.
They're going to trade him for Barbosa.
But yeah, man, coming from all that to his performance on the court last night, finished with, 16 points, 15 boards as a point guard?
6 assists.
In his second year?
No, dude was showing to be... Well, I already knew he was going to be a good talent when they drafted him, but he's stepping up big time second year.
He
made a big jump.
Yeah.
He definitely has all the signs of being Tony Parker, but he's taller. He's more athletic. He seems like he comes from the school of Jamal Crawford, so he has that loose dribble. He has that behind the back and crossover that Jamal Crawford does. And I think I said it earlier. He can't shoot a lick. He cannot shoot the ball. But Chip England can work on that.
The one thing last year was it just looked like he was moving too fast for his body, and I was like, if he just slow down his game and have everything go in slow motion for him, everything will come together.
Yeah, you have to pick your battles. Like John Wall's rookie year, all he wanted to do was get the rebound and sprint down the court. And now you look at him and how he's a top 5 point guard in the league because he knows that all he has to do is create the angle around the screen and then turn on that speed. He doesn't need to hit that speed at 100 miles an hour. He needs to hit the 100 miles an hour right after that screen so that now he's in a better position. And it's something, all the best point guards learn how to do is kind of slow themselves down to speed themselves up. So you watch Chris Paul, he'll sprint into the paint, and then he just comes to a complete stop dribbling the ball because he knows all 5 guys are going to look at him because he's in the paint, and then he can see, all right, well, I have James Harden over here on the corner. I have Trevor Ariza and Ryan Anderson on the wings. I have Clint Capella diving to the rim. Now he knows his options, and he can see which one is going to be the best option. And that's what DeJounte Murray is it looks like he's starting to do. He's slowed himself down because the dude is incredibly quick, and he's so long that he doesn't need to take many strides to get down the court into a spot where he can make a play happen. But he definitely had a great week. He did not necessarily scoring the ball, but he is the second point guard in Spurs history to have more than one game with double-digit rebounds, and the last guy was Rod Strickland in 89-90, I believe those were the years. And he only had 2 double-digit rebound games that season. DeJounte's at 2 out of 3 games.
Well, he's in the perfect system right now. They're not asking him to score. They're just asking him to do everything else.
Yeah, so...
Which brings me to my not pick of the week, and Casey, you talked about him not too long ago. Mr. Tony Parker. Dare I say your days are numbered?
Should have been done with after that injury last season.
But we haven't seen him come back from it yet.
I know.
He's losing his spot. Paul, he can't even defend himself. That's like us talking about you when you outside.
I mean, there's a lot of people who have lost their spots when they can't defend themselves. Drew Bledsoe lost his spot to Tom Brady.
Alex Smith
Lost his spot to Colin Kaepernick. Peyton Manning lost his spot to Andrew Luck. So there's been plenty of times where an outstanding player has lost his role because he got hurt and the next guy stepped up. I mean, and it sucks because I've finally gotten over my we can win without Tony Parker phase. I mean, it's been gone for about 5 years now. But for the longest time, when Tony Parker was at his best, when Tony Parker was at his best, from his rookie year to like 2010, 2011, it was, who are we going to replace this guy with? For a lot of Spurs fans, it was never like, it was always Tim Duncan, we love you. Manu Ginobili, we love you. Tony Parker,
You fucked Brent Barry's wife.
that was later in the career. I'm talking about his first or second season in the league. We're playing the Lakers in the playoffs, and he throws an inbounds pass directly to Kobe Bryant because he felt like he was getting close to a 5-second violation, and he just made stupid decisions and
Crying on the court.
When Popovich got at him.
and it's like Speedy Claxton was a starter over Tony for a little bit, and then George Hill almost took his spot, and we tried to trade
Jason Kidd.
for Jason Kidd to take over his spot. The Spurs have always kind of been like, you know what, Tony, we can probably do without you. And I finally got over that.
Tony Parker's that redheaded stepchild, San Antonio.
But it was always,
out of the big three, that's always been.
yeah.
Tony was always expendable.
He's the LaMarcus Aldridge.
Well,
Tim Duncan was Tim Duncan. Manu Ginobili speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
Tony Parker, we could live without him.
You're French. 2, you seem like an asshole.
Well, that 1 year they was
3,
talking about
you're
trading him to the
French.
Knicks. Remember that?
Yeah.
When they had thought about trading him to the Knicks.
Yeah, there have been rumors spread far and wide about what the Spurs are going to do with Tony Parker. And so I finally was like, you know what? Tony Parker's actually like a really good point guard, and he's been overlooked for so long, I feel like, and Spurs fans...
Kind of like a Tony Romo. Underappreciated.
Yeah. I say that, yeah.
But I feel like there is more shit talked about Tony Romo because Tony Romo has, one playoff victory in his career, and Tony Parker has 4 championships. So slightly different, but yes, same concept.
Well, when you get carried by the best power forward in the game, I guess, you know.
What are you talking about? He dominated Boobie Gibson in 07.
That's why he got that Finals MVP.
Did you see him fall down in that NBA Finals Game 1 and throw that piece of crap shot off of the backboard to
For
win
the
the
win?
game? But I mean, Tony Parker is possibly the most underrated point guard of all time because he was leading the league in points in the paint as a point guard. Mm-hmm. Something that Allen Iverson didn't do.
Multiple years.
Yeah, it was like 4 straight years. He led the league in points in the paint because he couldn't shoot an outside shot, and teams still couldn't stop him because of how quick he was. And he like...
Oh, yeah, he was very quick, like, in game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so... I think people kind of sleep on who he was because in the Spurs system kills your statistics because if he played for a team like Phoenix in the D'Antoni role, like in the D'Antoni system, who knows how many points he would have scored, and how many assists he would have racked up. But when you play for the Spurs, you're limited to no more than 34 minutes a game, and you're limited on your shot attempts, and you're limited on what we do offensively. So your numbers are going to take a hit, but you should be more effective. And Tony Parker has always been effective and always been efficient. And if he comes back, there was video of him today at practice looking like he's well on his way to returning probably before the deadline or the expected February date. He looks like he could possibly be back in January, and if he fights hard enough, I don't think the Spurs would bring him back, but if playoffs started, he could be back late December. But having DeJounte playing so well, it revitalizes your bench, I think, going forward. And if Tony does, get dusted by Steph Curry, you can stick the young guy on him for all the 90 feet. So going on to the next knot, Alvin. Who got the knot?
So my knot is the Falcons and the Browns with that horrible musical chair quarterback carousel that they keep playing. Like, it's like what we said with Deshaun Watson. You can't put him in, and then if he has a bad game, you can't pull him out. And that's what the Hugh Jackson is doing in Cleveland. Like, Deshaun Kaiser has a bad game, they put in
Kevin Hogan.
Yeah, that guy.
I think,
and then he has a bad game, and then you put Deshaun Kaiser back in, and then in the middle of that game, Deshaun Kaiser's having a bad game, and then you put in somebody else. It's just
Cody
like
Kessler.
Yeah, I'm just like you are mentally destroying that kid.
Yeah, and I mean, Hugh Jackson has played musical chairs with quarterbacks last year. I mean, RG3 got hurt, so I think if RG3 didn't get hurt, he would have stuck with him the entire season. But RG3 came back, and so he started a few games, and then he ended up starting Cody Kessler, and then he ended up starting I think Kevin Hogan in the last game of the season. So he went back to that carousel. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, I wonder if the Browns are looking at Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson and thinking like, oh, well, what could have been? Like, no, those two guys weren't going to be good for you. You're the Browns. You suck. Who's your number one receiver?
Yeah, you let him go to Washington, and he's showing that he's not what he was in Cleveland.
Yeah. Like, your best offensive player is a rookie tight end in Njoku. And you can't get him the ball because your quarterbacks can't stay upright, and Kevin Hogan can't throw the ball very hard.
And then you lose Joe Thomas for the rest of the year. That's your best player on the team.
That's your best player in franchise history.
And
you can't run the ball. Isaiah Crowell can't get anything going. Duke Johnson can't do anything. Like, Carson Wentz looks really good for the Eagles, but he's also behind one of the top 5 offensive lines in the league, and he has a very good defense behind him, and that help. And he has weapons. He has Ertz, and he has Alshon Jeffrey, and
but I feel like they're just mentally hurting that kid by doing that to him. And if you felt like he was your man at the beginning, then you ride him all the way through the season. If you had doubts that he was going to be your man all season, then that's when you play Hogan or Kessler and just let him set the season or half of the season, and have him play the ending of the season, something like that.
Yeah, or
just to have games under his belt.
If somebody happens to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like that you can go back to the quarterback if he gets hurt, but you can't say, oh, well, you had a bad game, it's time to go to the next guy.
Yeah, you're messing them up. So Browns definitely get my knot for the week.
Well, my knot of the week is the Phoenix Suns. As I said, you have the second worst owner in sports. Your probably best all-around player wants to be traded, allegedly. You lost your first game by 44, your third game by 48. You lost to the Lakers in overtime in a game that I think combined for about 3,000 points. And you
teams that play no defense.
You lucked out a win against the Kings. So congratulations, you had one victory this week, but you still had a terrible week. And if this was the Premier League, you would get relegated to a different basketball league.
They would have got relegated to the G League.
So Phoenix, you need to try to trade Eric Bledsoe as soon as possible. Don't ask for too much. Just ask for pieces that will complement who you have. Because Devin Booker and Dragon Bender are both very capable players. Alex Lynn, very capable. You have some guys who can play, and if Eric Bledsoe doesn't want to be there, don't let him be there, because he's just going to create toxicity in your culture and in your locker room. You already fired Earl Watson, who you didn't give enough time to. Look at Philly. They said, "Hey, Brett, we're going to give you shit lineups for 4 years, but whenever they're all healthy, that's when we are going to see what you can do as a coach." And you told Earl Watson, "We're going to give you shit lineups for a year and a half. You better make it to the playoffs, or else you're out." So yeah, you had a bad week, and so let's finish up with our locks of the week. I am going to stick with my basketball topics of the night. I looked at the schedule, and I think the Warriors, come next time we record next Tuesday, are going to have a losing record. They play 4 games. They're 2-2.
So what do you got the bat?
So I guess they might be 4-4. I'll say they don't have a over 500 record. They have a 500 or lower record. So they play Toronto, they play Washington, they play Detroit, and they play the Clippers. I see them losing to Washington and LA. The game that I'm not 100% sure on them losing is Toronto, but they're going to beat Detroit. Unless some weird thing happened. But it's basketball, it could. But I think they're losing at least 2 of those games, which would give them 4 losses in their first 8 games for a team that people were saying could break their own 73-win record, and they were going to be an easy number 1 seed, which they very well might end up being. But it looks like they're sleepwalking. They haven't really got their butt in gear. And if they don't do it this week, they're going to lose at least 2 of these games, because John Wall's on a mission. John Wall sees light at the end of the tunnel. He knows that this is his year to show he is a dark horse MVP candidate. The Clippers have been wanting to beat the Warriors for the last 3 years. And now with Patrick Beverley, who gets into Steph Curry, and the pieces that they have, like Blake and DeAndre have always really kind of helped dominate that game. That they've been really key pieces against Golden State, but they just could never finish them off. And I think they can finish them off this next game, next Monday. So yeah, I see the Warriors not having above 500 record going into the 3rd week of the season. And I see that as a pretty bold prediction, seeing as how good the Warriors are. Andrew, lock it up.
Bold lock pick. I've got the 49ers beating the Eagles this weekend.
I thought about putting that. I really did.
The Eagles.
I think
that's what I have written down and underlined.
Yeah,
the Eagles are favored by 12.5 points. That just smells like a trap game.
Everybody is loaded up on the Winswagon, and
what perfect time to let them down. Vegas wasn't built on nothing. And if they're setting a 12.5 point spread,
personally, we would love that to happen.
I see the Niners taking down the Eagles.
People want to be like, it's the Niners, but they've been in games.
This is football. Anything can happen.
And it's
all year, except for the Cowboys.
It's on the road. It's in Philly.
Yeah, it's in Philly.
I think that it leads itself, because I did think about putting that as my lock of the week. I looked at that game and I was like, ooh, the 49ers might get their first win. Like, I'm thinking about it. So it'll be. I like that. I like that pick.
Not mad at that one. That's nice.
Yeah.
Spicy.
Mucho pica.
It's San Francisco, so it's sriracha on everything.
That's sriracha sauce. Alright, so is it my turn?
I'll finish it up.
So my lock is by this coming next Tuesday, Astros will be up 3-1 in the series.
Oh, Jesus.
So
I thought it was going to be believable.
that's them.
Now that's bold. Tecate bold.
Which is, at this present moment in time, it's bottom of the 7th. They're down 3-1. So if they end up losing this game, that's them winning the next 3, which is believable because it's
Verlander and 2 of them are at home.
And 2 at home.
But you can't discredit Dodgers pitching too. You got Darvish coming up too
against Verlander.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Well,
Keuchel and Kershaw is a matchup too.
Yeah, I know.
I think they're gonna pitch Rich Hill in game 2 because they usually try to pitch him at home because of his pitching style, and they use Yu Darvish on the road because of his pitching style. But, anyways, Verlander can, the way he's been pitching in these playoffs, he can shut him down. And Charlie Morton and Lance McCullers have electric stuff,
especially at home.
So
they play better when they're at home.
Yeah, and so the Dodgers might end up having to pitch Kershaw game 4.
And again, I'm saying it's going to 7 games, but come Tuesday, Astros will be up 3-1. Because all their series, the last 2 series, they were up, and then all of a sudden, they just let the other teams just come in because they're on the road.
Yeah.
They're a different animal on the road and different animals when they're at home.
Well, we will keep an eye out on the World Series.
That's probably your boldest pick yet.
Last I forgot. I needed to shout out last week. Just like my week before, we both nailed our running backs over 100 yards with touchdowns because he nailed Zeke going over 100 yards with 3 touchdowns.
Boom.
Now I didn't go and check the tape to see if he said rushing touchdowns, but Zeke did have 3 touchdowns total anyways.
I know for sure I said over 100 yards with 3 touchdowns. I don't remember if I specified rushing touchdowns, but I know for sure I said 3 touchdowns.
That could be a deal breaker right there, man.
Hey, just like on that pool, I told you I was going to be a shootout.
It wasn't really a shootout.
Hey, I put 61 points. If that Eagles kicker would have made that field goal, I would have been on the money.
Didn't it end up...
It was 34-24.
Oh, because the Redskins scored a late touchdown.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Stupid bullshit stats.
Yeah. All right, well... That ends this week on the Benchwarmers podcast. We enjoy enjoy having y'all listen to whoever listens. I'm Casey Coggins here with Alvin Hebert,
Patrick Beverly, my new favorite player in the NBA,
and Andrew Lara.
DJ Murray.
See y'all next week.